Alexis Sharkey was 26 years old when she went missing right after Thanksgiving in November 2020. She graduated at the top of her class with a degree in biology from the University of Pittsburgh. On the early morning of November 28, 2020, a Houston city worker stumbled upon Alexis when he spotted 2 feet sticking out of some brush on the side of a feeder road only a few miles from the apartment she shared with her husband, Tom Sharkey. Her death has been ruled a homicide. Little is known about what happened to Alexis, and as of today, May 7th, 2021, this is an unsolved murder. My intention with this video is to bring awareness to this case in hopes someone knows something. If you have any information regarding this case, please contact the Houston Police Department Homicide Division at 713-308-3600 or Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Who killed Alexis Sharkey and why? Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I am introducing you in this video to my podcast called Critique a Killer. I am one of the hosts and I have a co-host, my friend Courtney. Don't forget to listen every week on Apple Podcast or Spotify, or you can listen to us live on the Stereo app. I hope you enjoy. There will be videos coming on this channel if there are not at the time you're listening to this. So this is just to gear up for what's to come with my true crime content. Chapter 1. Who was Alexis Sharkey? Alexis Sharkey's maiden name was Robinald. She was a 26-year-old woman who grew up in Pennsylvania, and she had moved to Houston with her husband, Tom Sharkey, around January 2020. Her naked body was found Saturday morning, November 30th, after Black Friday. She was found by a utility worker that morning.
We know homicide detectives, they're looking at surveillance video of cars going up and down this road near I-10. They're trying to figure out how a body ended up in this brush. Now, it was Saturday morning when a garbage truck driver, he noticed feet coming up from the bushes. He called this into 911. Today, police identified that body of that as Alexis Sharkey.
She was a Monate market partner, and Monate is a company that's known for its social presence. They have social media ambassadors, and it's a multi-level structured company. It has hair care and skincare, and it relies on the direct sales model and social media marketing. I think it's important to note that both Courtney and I actually have personal ties to this case. It's very important for us to be transparent, as we've both tried the products, have used the products, and we've both worked the Monate business. We also have friends and mutual acquaintances within the company who are friends with Alexis, so we wanted you to be aware of that fact. Alexis was just one rank below the top of the ranking system within Monate. She was an associate executive director, and she'd been working for the company for about 3 years at the time of her death.
Hard work, Lexi. A lot of hard work. Awesome stuff.
You're making me cry.
She had a significant public social media presence on both Instagram. She had about 10,000 followers at the time of her death. But of course, because this is a popular case, she has gained a significant amount of followers after her death and is now around 77,000. She also has a public profile on TikTok, as well as posting every day on her Instagram stories, which is very relevant in this case, which we will get into. But this is even still in her Instagram bio. It reads, "Always on my story." So that's very important. She posted nearly every week on TikTok, and she posted here and there on YouTube. However, she also had a more private presence and less advertised personal Facebook profile where she posted more political posts in nature, and she leaned Republican. She shared political opinions and viewpoints, which included information that diminished the seriousness of COVID-19 and news stories critical of President Joe Biden. This is not to judge her. It's just to paint a complete picture of who Alexis was and what shaped the way she perceived the world around her.
Okay, gotta go. Call me when you want to be honest. I'm so disgusted and sick right now. I'm leaving.
Are you okay to drive and everything?
Yes, I just need to go home and literally go to bed.
She graduated college with a major in biology, and from what I saw from her social media, she was at the top of her class with almost, if not always, getting straight A's, which I personally find very impressive for studying biology, right?
Yeah.
Very impressive. She planned to become a PA, which was one of my goals in my life as well, that I never went forward with, and neither did she. After she graduated, she actually took a year off before starting a physician's assistant program. During the time that she took off, she started working at a restaurant in Odessa, Texas, and the restaurant is called Twin Peaks. It's very familiar. It's very similar to Hooters. I actually worked at Hooters. Have you ever been to Hooters,
I
Courtney?
have once.
But she was actually engaged at the time that she worked at Twin Peak, that she was going through a breakup with her then fiance. And she ended up meeting Tom Sharkey while she was working there. A side note that I do find to be very important, although I think that most people will think I'm being judgmental, but this is an observation. I've gone through every single one of Alexis's Instagram posts from the time she was a freshman in college to the time of her death. And I noticed a progression in her alcohol consumption. And just in the last couple of years, her drinking became much more frequent. She almost always had a drink in her hand on her Instagram stories and her posts.
They started with us going to get some breakfast, and it's turning into a bar hopping day.
Day drinking.
Day drinking down the city central, so that's how today's going.
I don't know about you, Courtney, but I found this to be really relevant because I think it's a part of who Alexis was, what she did in her life. And I just wanted to get your viewpoint on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's enough for us to notice that she always had a drink in her hand, then it had to have been a lot. And also, I can't help but think of if she was drinking heavily, like her inhibitions could have been way down at the time that this did happen. So, yeah, I definitely agree.
That's a good observation about her inhibitions. I really didn't think about that. I was thinking more or less that it had maybe something to do with her past because from what I saw, her family seemed to be religious. I'm not really sure, but it seemed they were a conservative family. And as she went to college, what I recognize is that, like a lot of young women or young men, she started going to parties. So, like many college students, she got involved in partying, going to friends' houses, dorm parties, and it just was very obvious that that was something she really took a liking to. I personally like to drink myself and probably have wine nights a week. So it is not a judgmental judgment. It's just an observation that I made. And I did realize that it got to be more of a steady part of her life going forward.
Right.
I also wanted to note that there was a Instagram post on August 18th, 2020, which was pretty recent to comparing that date to the time of her death in November. And it read, quote, Sunday brunch, and all I can see in this picture is my drink. Weird, right? Well, I never realized how much I was mindlessly drinking unless I stopped altogether. These pictures are a month old, and as I'm scrolling through my camera roll, I notice every picture I have out to eat always included a drink, even if it was 11 a.m. There was absolutely no reason for it, and it's not like I was even getting drunk, just continually ordering poison without one thought. Doing the 75 hard program really opened my eyes to how much I was, and we go out to eat a lot. I think she meant was drinking. I started reading Atomic Habits, and I can't recommend it enough. We have habits we don't even realize we have. The first step is to just be aware of them. Don't fall into a mindless action without making a conscious thought about it. Document it, say it out loud, write it down, and don't get mad at yourself. Just realize it's there. Then categorize them. Is this a habit that's serving me in the long run to become who I want to be? Or is it immediate gratification? I'm not someone who will never go back to drinking, but I'm done doing it out of habit. Having a few glasses on the weekend is one thing, but ordering it every meal and having a drink in the evening just because is another. We know it negatively impacts every organ of our body. So why am I doing it? I won't even have a slice of bread every day because of the health consequences. So why do I compromise daily on alcohol? Because I don't even realize I'm doing it, unquote. Okay, she does have a biology background. She even has some IGTV all about the toxicity of alcohol.
This is probably the saddest video I've ever made. And I hate it so much. We all know that alcohol is a poison. This is not new news to anybody. It's kind of funny because alcohol is like the one drug that is legal in the US, but it's also the most damaging drug to literally every single organ in the entire body. But hey, I'm not bashing on you for drinking alcohol. I drink alcohol. I love alcohol. But it is very, very bad for you. We know it damages our liver, our brain, our literally everything, but what we don't really ever talk about is our skin. And that's the part that shows.
I find this post to be very bold, but also very telling, as her habits really didn't change from what I could see. I mean, did they for you?
No, that's exactly what I was just thinking. Is I feel like immediately after that, she was still drinking in every photo.
Yeah. And this to me is a sign of a struggle, but I don't mean that again in a judgmental way. But we all know the signs of maybe a habitual something in someone's life that is a habit that they struggle with. And she was being open about something that she called, a habit that she wanted to stop. And I just don't think that she was able to do that. And we won't really know what was going on in her heart and mind, but alcohol is a very prevalent habit that can turn into what would we say, an addiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think for young people it's something that happens very often, and it's not something we realize. Like she said, this is an observation that correlates, in my opinion, to her actions before the time of her death. And again, I just want to paint an accurate and entire picture of Alexis because I think that's really important. And I truly do think this was something that she did struggle with. Chapter 2. Who is Tom Sharkey? Her and Tom, they met sometime in 2018, and a lot of people online, especially, they're very critical of their age difference. I don't find it odd personally. I really don't think it's as relevant as people online want to make it, but of course I do have an opinion about it, and you will hear that later on. So, Courtney, what is your take on that?
Well, I don't really have a problem with it. I see it as people more associate it with their looks, like how good she looked compared to him. And I'm not being mean, but she was very beautiful and attractive and great body. And I mean, he wasn't bad, but it makes you kind of wonder how he got her. Oh, that's so mean. I feel bad saying that. But I think it's more that than the actual age. But you do have to wonder. I mean, I'm not 40. He's 46, right?
He was
47.
40. He was 47 at the time I
Okay,
met.
47. You'd have to wonder if you had a spouse that much younger than you, would you be insecure? Like, oh, are they going to find somebody younger and more attractive than me, or someone that's more fun? He might have been ready to kind of settle down, and she's still wanting to go out and have a good time. Yeah, there is a lot of
Yeah,
speculation about that.
there is, and rightfully so, because I do see your point. He was previously married a couple times, divorced twice, had children from a previous marriage. Not sure if he had one or two, but I have seen a son that was in college actually. So I believe it was college. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I think there is the assumption that there could be some insecurity on his part because, like you said, some people question the relationship. I understand where you're coming from with the looks. I think she could have gravitated towards Tom for a lot of other reasons that younger women are attracted to quote unquote older men. They see them as a support system of some kind, have life experience, they're more mature. We don't know if the men close to her age were just not into what she found to be of value,
Right.
because we know she was pretty serious about her education and we know she was serious in her career. And there are still, 26-year-olds, even 46-year-olds that are much more into partying still, and they're in that bachelor lifestyle. So we don't know why they gravitated towards each other, but I know that they both really enjoyed traveling.
Yeah.
And from what it looked like, and you can give your opinion on this in a moment, but it looked like they were very much in love. But what's important about that is we're looking at social media,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So what were your thoughts? Did they look to you? What did they look like to you?
Yeah, going off social media, it seemed perfect. She would do the videos with the music and they're kissing and traveling and in the car having fun. But I'm very self aware that social media is just the best of everything, pretty much. So you really don't know. But if you were looking at them, you would think, wow, they're perfect together. And maybe they were in the beginning. They seem to be. If you're just going off the social media, yeah, I think that they were in love. And I do honestly believe that they were at one point.
Absolutely. I do too. I do too. And we have looked into this case very extensively, and but overall from their videos and what I know about body language and things like that from my background in psychology, I really do think that they were in love. And I've looked at everything from the comments that they made to one another to their TikTok videos, their YouTube vlogs, and it seemed like they made a really good match. A
Hmm.
really good match.
All right, so split ends. We all get them.
I don't get them.
Are you gonna come over here? Babe, come here. This is a perfect example of a split end free head. You have the healthiest hair I know.
I thought you were talking about this hair here.
No, I had split ends when you were 16.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna show him that picture of you. I'd go to jail for you.
Were you able to watch the video on the news about the coworker from Twin Peaks that actually set them up?
Yeah, the one that wouldn't show her face. Is it
Yes.
that one? Yeah, yeah, I did watch it, but it has been a while, so I can't remember exactly what she said.
She was helping Alexis get over the breakup with her then fiance, and Tom would come in. He was a frequent patron of Twin Peaks. I don't know what that says about a guy. I mean, I don't want to be judgmental there, but I remember working at Hooters and we had regulars, and I'm just giving my personal experience with our regulars. They were a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
They would put their arms around us. And I was trying to be cordial because it is my workplace. But at the same time, we had a manager that was really strict about people touching us. So we have to keep those things in mind as well. But I think they did make a good match. And the coworker said that Tom came in and would make her laugh. She had experience with Tom, and she said that she really wanted to set them up. She thought they would get along, and then they did. He
Hmm.
reminds me of a lumberjack. I would
Yeah.
say, what do you think? Like over 6 foot?
Oh yeah, easy. He was a big buff dude.
very buff. I mean, people have accused him of being, on steroids. We don't know that. There's a lot of men who can naturally get that big. So I'm not going to sit here and make an assumption about a man. He is very big and muscular. We're just going to say that. And if you can imagine a lumberjack, unlike some of the critical people online, I do find him attractive. I had an ex-boyfriend that looked very similar to Tom. He wasn't as old as Tom, but I think he had a really great physique.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, especially for his age.
Absolutely. I would think that Alexis would feel safe. And we're going to talk about a little bit into why maybe she didn't feel safe as in a very attractive woman online. So she could be drawn to him because of that. So Tom worked as a contractor. He was in the oil industry as well as a construction company that constructed glass bottom pools. He did this all over the world in hotels. So Tom did a lot of traveling. And I think this is also one of the reasons why Alexis was drawn to a company like Monat, because she was able to make money from home or anywhere she was. She actually explained this in her own words on an IGTV that was entitled Quick Wavy Hair Refresh and Life Update Chit Chat. And this was on August 26th, 2019.
Life update. I'm in Colorado right now. We lived out in West Texas in Odessa, Midland before we moved here. And I'm just so happy to be away from it, you guys. Like, there's nothing out there but work in the oil field, and Tom's kind of getting away from that. Side note, I was talking to Tom the other day, and the company that he's doing now, he's like leading up projects like overseas. He's working with glass pools and like big aquariums, and he's working on them in the Bahamas, in China, Russia. So we're gonna be traveling a lot. But yeah, they couldn't really wait for us to get settled in. So he's currently in the Bahamas. He's working on like $9 to $25 million condos. I know. He said that like he's seen Justin Timberlake walking around, like all these people reporting there, because the project that he's heading up, like they're putting these giant pools and like glass gorgeous pools on like the balconies of these condos, and it's just so cool.
She was really thankful that she could live anywhere, because at the time of that video, Tom was working and she was staying with a friend, and they also were staying in hotels because they were getting ready to move in together. Social media does need to be examined, and things that can appear to be something can be other than the truth. And I think that's really important in this case, because we're talking about an influencer. We're talking about someone that had a broad social media presence. And it's important to keep in mind that what we see is not the true story all the time. What we see is only a sliver of what's going on in someone's life.
Chapter 3. Where did Alexis live?
Her apartment is a central location of this case. It's very important to this case. She lived in a gated community. It was a gated apartment community. This has not been confirmed, but from what I had read, and I don't know if you've seen this, Courtney, but they had previously moved to another apartment complex, but they moved to this particular apartment complex because it was more secure. She was very attractive. We've kind of told you guys that. She was a very attractive woman, very charismatic. Even in her photos, you could just tell that there was this air about her that was just so feminine. She just radiated with beauty, in my opinion. And it's very easy for a woman like that to feel, I wouldn't say unsafe, because, I am an influencer and I have a lot of things in the public, and I wouldn't say that I don't feel safe, but for a woman like her, even if you're not an influencer, you can have men who give you unwanted attention. And it was said that she had a stalker. Now, this was previously to moving to this apartment complex, where it was the last place she lived before she died. And I'm not sure if she meant a real stalker or a man that was bothering her, asking her to go on dates, kind of maybe frequenting the same places. But I did see a post or two from people who knew her that said that even men at her new apartment would kind of flirt with her by the pool, give her unwanted attention. And this, in my opinion, could be another reason she really liked having Tom in her life.
There's so many creepy guys. Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, there are creepy people everywhere, but men tend to be creepier. I mean, if we look at the statistics,
right,
it's men.
Yeah.
Not only was this a gated community, it was also equipped with security cameras. You needed a key fob to access the doors. They were internal. So what I mean by that is it's not the type of apartment complex where the doors are on the outside of the building. Alexis and Tom also had a Ring doorbell. So they had a camera. If people are not aware of what that is, it's a camera that's on your door recording sound and visual. So you can see who's there. You can talk to them. Even when you're away from your home, you can access the Ring doorbell through your phone. I'm sure pretty much everyone knows what it is, but I wanted to mention that the pool area was in the middle of the apartment structure, and it was also surrounded by gates, one of which looked like it led to somewhere outside, to like a sidewalk or somewhere to the outside of the building. But keep in mind, even the outside of the building where the sidewalks were, where you could walk your dog, things like that, it had a pretty tall gate around the entire outside area of the complex.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed that too.
Yeah.
But there were 3 identical large apartment structures that were within this community, and they were all inside of this gated area. And it probably had hundreds of people living in this apartment complex. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think I've lived in one structure and there was like over 100 people.
Oh, yeah. I'd say a couple hundred. It looks huge.
It really does. There was multiple floors. I want to say like what, 4 or maybe, I don't even know if there was more than that.
Yeah, I don't remember, 3 or 4. But yeah, the buildings were huge and there were several of them. Maybe 100 in each building at least.
There's just so many people you can have problems with. People have made some observations that are, I think, lean more towards the negative. Why was a 49-year-old living in a 1-bedroom apartment, like in a not so good part of Texas? What are your opinions on that?
Yeah, it's odd. It makes you wonder how successful he really was, or what was going on, if they were hurting for money, or if he had bad debt, which could all be another motive for, what ends up happening.
So we're going on a stroll. We're going to dinner up in Montana.
What's up, everybody?
Okay, so tell them how much the man is paying for you to put a pool in his house.
$8 million.
$8 million! Who are you?
Yeah, it is very interesting that they did live in that kind of complex, because as we have been shown online, a lot of people think that Alexis was making a lot of money. It is a variable income, but they also had expenses. You have expenses for that business. You have to take trips all the time, do photos, be on social media, buy nice clothing, because you probably know this, Courtney, and maybe the public does too. You have to put out the impression that you are living a certain lifestyle, because part of the multi-level structure of this kind of business is having people join your sales team.
You got to sell the dream.
It might have been where they were staying until they built a house. We really don't know. There were actually 3 pools that were in the middle of each one of these structures. And I was thinking about this. I don't know about you, but I was wondering, I'm not sure if any person that was living within any of the structures, you know what I mean? Like if you were living in structure A, if you could gain access to like any pool area, or you could get into any interior apartment doors.
Oh, I wonder.
There was also a large parking structure. So it was multi-level, large parking structure. And I'm not sure, this is another thing I wanted to ask them, if the structure was attached to the internal access point. I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
Meaning, can you come and go through accessing the garage from, let's say, the pool area or somewhere, or does it go straight into one of the buildings? I would really like to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And I wonder if there are cameras inside the parking structure. Did you know anything about that?
No, but I hope.
Right? It's going to be playing a role in this case. I think, like always, if you watch See No Evil on Investigation Discovery, a lot of times cameras are your only witness.
Yeah, I assume there are, just because there's cameras everywhere. And I mean, it was a kind of a nicer, newer apartment complex.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure they did.
I agree. Considering that we do know, and we'll get into this in just a minute, we do know that there were security cameras on the building, but we're going to get into that later. Okay, we don't want to jump ahead here. This apartment complex was known as more of a luxury apartment complex. As a matter of fact, they even have a TikTok. I mean, like a TikTok showing the lifestyle and out by the pool and fireworks. And it was a pretty nice place.
Oh, fancy.
Very fancy. It was a private complex, but it was located next to a pretty well-traveled freeway.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just west of the Beltway. And it's called the Houston's energy corridor. There's a very, very big outdoor sanctuary, if you want to call it that, a huge forest area, which is very significant, that spans right outside where she lived to, I want to say, miles.
Yeah, it was big.
It had biking trails, walking trails, and even a way to access it in a back way through one of the roads that was next to Alexis's apartment. This area was, like I said, pretty industrial in nature. It had random businesses. Some of them looked pretty old, in my opinion. It had car dealerships, storage facilities, and it wasn't an area where I could imagine anyone, okay, just like the normal average person living there, taking a stroll. What about you?
No, I don't think so.
It was sketchy and also had like an overpass. It's not like you would take a casual stroll unless you were walking your dog. You wouldn't say, hey, meet me on the corner of Katy Freeway and like whatever.
No.
Chapter 4: The Dangers of Social Media.
I'm obsessive when it comes to understanding a case. And I took Google Maps and I went ahead and drove the streets virtually. So this area that she was in was not an area that had a lot of restaurants and bars. There was a wine bar that Alexis and her friends went to frequently. It's called the Tasting Room. You can find her Instagram account. It's public. The pictures are all still there. But it is something to note. She tagged places like this that were nearby.
Not smart. I don't know if it's just because I'm so conscious about things like this and really into true crime, and I know how easily things can happen, but I just can't imagine tagging a place. I think it's fine maybe after you were there, but even that's a little sketchy if you go there frequently. Don't you think?
I could not be more on point with that because I'm actually going to go as far as saying it's dangerous. It's just too risky, in my opinion, because of my background and because, like you said, I watch a lot of true crime.
Yeah, but even me being not in the public, not a person that has big social media or anything, it still weirds me out.
My dad has been in prison, and he would always tell me that it was so much easier to do this when he had like as much information as possible, like casing a neighborhood, following someone, and then his favorite, trying the doorknob. If it was unlocked, he would go in. So just so you guys know, I have some personal connections with crime. It's funny, but not funny, but we're just talking the truth here.
Yeah.
She did tag things that she were nearby. And it's just too risky, in my opinion, because I really do think it could play a role in this case. And she definitely didn't hide where she lived or just in the sense of the area, because as a matter of fact,
it only took me about 10 minutes
to pinpoint her apartment from looking at the pictures of the pool area on her Instagram.
Does that kind of prove to you that she truly was naive?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just careless or super naive that nothing could happen to her.
By looking at her pool area photos for me to compare them to places near that Houston City Center. I mean, complexes near the Houston City Center. And I found her exact apartment complex. What does that tell you?
That anybody could do it.
Especially someone with ill intent.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so easy to find people online. But all you need is one
scary.
picture. Very scary.
It's scary. And then something that I brought up to you, Courtney, and I think it's a really good point. You guys can let me know what you think. The hashtags. We know they're searchable all over the internet. Let's say you're a truck driver and you're frequently coming through the Houston City Center and you did want to find a vulnerable woman. Why not search a hashtag and see who frequents it?
Yep. So true.
I mean, if I were someone with ill intent and we do critique killers here, so we try to put our mind into the mind of a killer. And I just got to tell you, hashtag searching would be a go-to tool to find out who is nearby. And there's a lot of individuals, and this will come into play. There's a lot of individuals that are very much passing through areas.
Yeah, which is easier to get away with a crime.
Chapter 5: Who was close to Alexis?
But going forward, when Alexis and Tom moved in together, They were actually married at this time, and Alexis wanted to make some new friends nearby because in this day and age, we have technology. It makes it really easy to find new friends, and she used an app on her phone called Bumble BFF. If you're not familiar with this app, I'm just gonna say it's like it's like the dating version. Bumble dating version is, connecting you with somebody you want to date. Bumble BFF is the same thing, but it connects you to friends nearby. Have you ever used it?
No, I'm good.
No, thanks. Hard pass. Hard no.
I have enough friends.
Right? So this friend version lets you fill out a bio just like you would on a dating site, all about yourself, what kind of friends you're looking for, your interests, your hobbies. And then you get matched with people with the same interests that are nearby you. That's the point. It's like Tinder, it's like somebody that's in the vicinity. This was something I found interesting. Alexis was very familiar with technology. She used social media. She used all kinds of social media. But not only that, she's not afraid of connecting with strangers online.
Which isn't a bad thing totally, but it's just different.
Well, you were a stranger online that I met.
I know, but our story's different. We weren't searching for friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just kind of happened.
Yeah, that's true. We met online, guys. But it's just something I want to note, that she was very comfortable connecting with people she didn't know online and through apps. And with Monate, when you are a representative, I know that market partners use Bumble BFF and similar apps, and they use it to recruit people to their teams. I don't know if you know this, but Alexis did, but I mean, that she probably did. I don't have firsthand knowledge about whether she did, but I have firsthand knowledge that this is a common practice.
Editing Kimber here. After some diligent research, I actually stumbled upon what looks like the original Bumble BFF profile from Alexis Sharkey. I actually confirmed the date to be Thursday, May 10th, 2018, when this was posted on the Reddit thread. I can also confirm these pictures are Alexis, and I've compared them to her Instagram pictures, and they do match. I truly believe this is her actual Bumble BFF profile, especially because it does show up in an anti-MLM forum with the original poster showcasing the fact that she's moved to a new town to find friends, and she felt like Alexis may have had different motives.
Either way, Alexis ended up matching with two girls who coincidentally, were from the same friend group. So like the two girls she met were already friends within the same circle, but neither one of them knew that they had both matched with Alexis on Bumble BFF. So that's kind of
so
interesting.
crazy. Yeah.
I guess it's kind of a small world in a way, like a small area. You guys are both in the same area, have the same interests.
Right.
The girls that she matched with, their names are Tanya and Kendra. And if you are following this and you're taking notes, the names are going to be really important because there's a lot of players in this whole situation. So Kendra and Tanya were the two friends that she matched with on Bumble BFF. And they matched with her around January 2020, but they didn't meet in person until a month later in February 2020. So they had known Alexis under a year before her death. And I want you to just give your opinion on that.
That they didn't know each other that long?
Yeah, just under a year.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder how much they really knew each other or how good of friends they were. I guess it depends on how much time they spent together and what they shared. Or was it just kind of a surface level friendship?
So she had met some other girls in the area. We'll get into their names and everything after this. But she did meet a couple other girls in this area that she hung out with as well. And Tom referred to all of her friends as the seven. So we're going to get into the seven, but these are two out of the seven girls. So she did match with Tanya and Kendra. And the funny thing was they met for a dinner, and Kendra and Tanya planned a dinner for the girls that they had met from Bumble BFF. Neither one of them knew that they matched with Alexis, and both of them invited Alexis to this dinner. It just goes to show you that they really did have things in common, and they ended up being, well, quote unquote, good friends. They definitely had enough in common where it seemed like they liked to party. They kind of like to live that, I would say, the social media kind of fun, take pictures of things, let's kind of show our lifestyle type individuals.
Yeah, I agree.
And from what it looks like, you can give your own opinion on this, but from what it looks like, all the girls to me, they look like they could be friends with me. I mean, nothing really looks peculiar or creepy or weird or like too unusual or out of the ordinary. They just simply look like girls in their 20s or 30s having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Alexis shows up without telling anyone that she's coming. This right here shows me that she does what she wants. She's very independent. She has no problem being by herself, coming to meet people she doesn't know. Anything that you think about that, or is that
No,
just a
I mean,
non-point?
I kind of admire it. I don't think I would do that now, but probably when I was, how old is she? 26.
Yeah.
I think you're a little more careless and just go with the flow.
And also because we can check someone's social media. Like we know if someone has a fake profile for the most part. I'm not saying that that's a tried and true, but we can kind of tell if someone's legit or if they're just faking it. Like if they don't even have Instagram stories and like 4
Yeah.
posts, we're gonna be like, girl, you don't even show your face on Instagram stories. You're not real.
Right. And they were in
So
a public place, so that makes it better too.
that's absolutely true. It was actually a sushi restaurant and it was a sushi dinner, and there were 4 other girls. So Kendra and Tanya were the 2 friends that she connected with. And just to give you a little background on them as well, I think it's important to know who we're speaking about. Kendra had also recently moved to Houston, and that's why she was using Bumble BFF. And Tanya had already been living in Houston. She was a mom, and she has said that being a mom, she didn't have a lot of time to go out and go to meet new friends, but she wanted to meet a new group of friends. She wanted to make a new group of friends and form a new group of friends. So she was the leader in putting together this friend group. She also has a son that's probably close to my daughter's age. My daughter is 9, so he looked about the same age. And she said that she wanted to make new friends, which you, Courtney, said something interesting about. You brought up that Tanya had already lived there a while, so you were curious as to why she was trying to form a new friend group.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when she said I was looking for a new group of friends. It's like you've lived there your whole entire life. Your whole life, you've lived in the same place. Like, wouldn't you have lifelong friends? I know when I go back home to where I'm from, I have the same friends that I grew up with. I don't know. I just find it odd that she needed a new group of friends because, I mean, it's one thing if she was getting away from a bad group. I respect that, but I still wonder, like, why did she need a new group of friends? I'm really curious about it.
In case the listeners don't know this, there is a lot of speculation that her friends had something to do with her death. So that's why we're giving an opinion and a perspective about her friends. There are a lot of Facebook groups that have formed about this murder, and I was in one, and Tanya was getting brutally hated because she has had plastic surgery. I've worked in the plastic surgery industry. I do not think someone should be judged on their looks. I think it's a good, way you can observe and make, observations about someone, but I think it's totally shameful for someone to use the fact that someone has had plastic surgery to give a judgment call on their whole entire personality, their intent, what they want out of life, that they're jealous. It's just
Mind blowing.
mind blowing. In
Yeah.
this day and age, and we're in 2021, guys, and women are being judged by the way that they look, being called a killer. I mean, literally, people have accused her of murdering her friend. Now, of course, we don't know. This is an unsolved murder. But the fact that they were making these attacks upon her looks, I said something. I said something.
Good.
And I've had plastic surgery, and
Me too.
yeah, I just do not appreciate the fact that a woman is being just made fun of because of something like that. So I said something, and you know what? Tanya wrote me and she said, "Thank you so much for sticking up for me." And I really appreciated her saying that. And I just had a little back and forth, nothing major. We didn't talk about anything related to this case. I don't know if she would be happy that I'm talking about this, but I haven't mentioned anything because I don't think it's of importance.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that you did that and that she saw it, because think if everyone was attacking you, it would feel really good to see somebody stick up for you.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm a mom, and I can relate to wanting to look better as you get older. And she is in her 30s. Not that that's old, but I'm in my later 30s, and I do everything and anything I want. If I want
Yeah.
to look a certain way,
Who
I'm going to do it.
cares? Who cares? doesn't make you a murderer.
Right. It's like I went under the knife. I wasn't holding a knife. like, come on.
Right.
It's like the correlation doesn't exist.
Chapter 6. What made Alexis stand out?
She was very intelligent. I value education. She was known as one of the most intelligent out of her friend group. And like me and you, because you and I are a lot alike, she wanted to dive into everything. She wanted to know about things. And anyone who asked her a question, she would go above and beyond to research it because she was interested, but also she was a wealth of knowledge to her friends.
I just want to know why things are different in information form. Because you know what? I want the best. I want to use the best products. I did so much research, like every study on them. That way I could look in at like the labs and how it was developed because I need evidence.
She had, her different degrees or whatever she had studied in. And also, I like that she formed her own opinions. I really respect that in people.
I really respect that. And what I do respect is no matter which way you lean politically, being able to be proud of your beliefs, regardless of if someone's going to judge you. Now, I've seen a lot of judgment come down on her, but she's deceased and it is okay to make observations. But I've heard a lot of cruel things.
Chapter 7. Where does the case stand now?
I know we're coming up on an hour. I know this is not the best stopping point, but at the same time, going further, we are coming up to a point where we're going to get a little bit more into the weekend of her death, and her friends and everybody else play a very important role because they hold information on their phones, on their social media accounts, that are going to be evidence and are evidence in this case. Now, we don't have all the evidence. The police have not even made a statement. They made like one statement in the beginning that they said, hey, when we're closer to understanding what's going on in this case, we will make a public statement. It's never happened yet. It is an ongoing investigation, which is very important to note. And there have not been any arrests made. So that is why these are only theories, speculations, and they are not, truths, if you will.
Right. We're still waiting.
We are still waiting. So I hope we gave you enough facts at this point that you can start to get familiar with this case. If you're interested in following along with us next week, we will be doing another live. We really do thank you for being here and following along on our journey into podcasting and true crime. We really do appreciate it. And we will be excited to see you next week.